It's a Tuesday episode of Locked On Grizzlies, and we are finally going to see Cedric Coward at Las Vegas Summer League for Memphis on the sideline, not actually playing basketball. Plus, Ryan Saunders has been named the lead assistant for the Memphis Grizzlies. Anthony Carter is on his way out, and Ty Jerome officially signed by the franchise. Lots to get to on this Tuesday episode of Locked On Grizzlies. Let's lock in.
You are Locked On Grizzlies, your daily Memphis Grizzlies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So happy to once again be with you on this Tuesday episode of Locked On Grizzlies. It is I, Joe Mullinax, your host for this podcast. No DeMichael Cole once more. Again, technical difficulties. Don't you hate it out in Vegas when the internet's just not quite up to snuff? Not DeMichael's fault. We did everything we could. He had the great episode there from the arena this past Friday, I believe it was, but haven't been able to get it back together. That's okay. DeMichael will be back with us soon. Thanks for hanging out with me once more. We had a great episode yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to do it again on this edition of Locked On Grizzlies. Thanks for hanging out for the next 30 minutes or so. Today's episode of Locked On Grizzlies is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts as proud members of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every single day. Like, comment, rate, review, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, YouTube. Literally anywhere you get a podcast, you can get Locked On Grizzlies. Hang out with DeMichael and I each and every time an episode drops. Become an everydayer. The comment section was pretty wild yesterday. A lot of folks getting into it a little bit. Let's be nice. Let's be respectful over in the YouTube comments. No need to be too fired up about this basketball team or anything, really, when you see the amount of comments that some folks were making. Tone it down. Simmer down now. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but I'm going to pull it out. It feels like a simmer down kind of situation. Lots of things to simmer down about when it comes to discussion of the Memphis Grizzlies of late, and we're going to lead off with something that I am personally surprised has become a thing, and it's Cedric Coward. Cedric Coward, the Grizzlies, I believe, 11th pick in the 2025 NBA draft. They traded up to acquire his services. I am stunned, to be honest with you, that folks are so seemingly angry that Cedric Coward has not just not been playing for the Summer League team. He hasn't been in Vegas. He wasn't in Salt Lake City. And it's gotten to the point on social media, somewhat in our comments section, that people are just like, not audibly, because it's social media, typing, maybe they're headbutting the space bar, to paraphrase a Dane Cook joke from a long time ago. Dane Cook was a comedian, for those of you that aren't familiar with the work of Dane Cook from the mid-2000s. But before I age myself any further, Cedric Coward was not in Salt Lake City just recently, like in the last 24 to 48 hours, arrived in Las Vegas, has been notably absent from the Grizzlies bench. And this has angered some fans. And apparently, maybe not angered's not the right word, but Cedric Coward didn't quite agree with the decision himself. Cedric Coward, and this is from an article, again, DeMichael Cole, not with us on this episode of the podcast, but Commercial Appeals, DeMichael Cole, Memphis Grizzlies beat writer DeMichael Cole is with us. This is from his article over the Commercial Appeal. I've been gone too long, Coward told the Commercial Appeal. I'm glad I was finally able to make it. I wanted to come and be around the team, but at the same time, I'm here now, and that's all that matters. Now, friendly reminder, and DeMichael points it out in his piece, Cedric Coward was doubtful from the beginning to play in Summer League. This guy did not play contact reps in his workout for Memphis before the draft. It was 1-on-0. He was playing on air. Now, does that make me regret wanting Cedric Coward to be the pick of the Memphis Grizzlies? Absolutely not. First and foremost, I like being right. And guess who was right about Cedric Coward being a target to trade up for? Your boys, Joe Mullinax and DeMichael Cole. So we said we would trade up for Cedric Coward. We believed in his game, and the Grizzlies did just that. The fact that he has not participated in full 5-on-5 work does not bother me in the slightest. And I'm not quite sure why it would bother you or any other loyal, loved listener and viewer of Locked On Grizzlies. This is somebody who missed a vast majority of his college basketball season. He only played in 6 games for Washington State this past year. And yet, there was a bidding war for his services between the Duke Blue Devils. I don't know if you've heard of them or not. Pretty popular and successful basketball program in college. The Alabama Crimson Tide, who have had a pretty significant rising of their proverbial tide over the last few seasons. The Florida Gators, I don't know if you know that team or not, recent NCAA champion, and other blue blood college programs. Cedric Coward was being paid very handsomely by the NIL folks over at Duke to play basketball for them before he made the choice to stay in the NBA draft. They were clearly not worried about the shoulder of Cedric Coward. And you know who else isn't worried about it? Me. You know who else isn't sweating the fact that he has not been at Summer League until this point? Me. Because Cedric Coward is somebody who is going to be in the Grizzlies rotation, more than likely, when the games actually matter in September, in October, and November. All through the ramp-up process of the actual NBA season. Do you guys actually watch Summer League basketball? Not necessarily you, right? Like you, that's a logical human being that understands that you are not watching, I would argue, you're not even watching G League level basketball at this point. Every year, it's the exact same thing. You go on social media. I talked to DeMichael over the last couple of summers as my partner here on Locked On Grizzlies. Talked to other people that have been to Las Vegas. I myself have never been to Las Vegas. It's probably a good thing for a variety of reasons. I've never been to Vegas, but I've watched a lot of Grizzlies Summer League basketball over my last 12 or so years covering this team. And you know what happens in Summer League? A lot of dudes play a lot of basketball that isn't particularly good. And there's always guys that look a lot better than they actually are. And there's guys that look worse than they actually are. I always like to point out the ghost of Josh Selby, who was a co-MVP of the Summer League a decade or so ago now. Shout out to Josh Selby. Good for him. What did Josh Selby do in the league? His peak was the Summer League. What about Jordan Adams, right? I remember Jordan Adams. Everybody loved Jordan Adams. You know who didn't love Jordan Adams? This guy. But Jordan Adams looked good in Summer League. He looked like the second coming of James Harden at times. It might have been so long ago that it was the first coming of James Harden. But how did Jordan Adams do in the NBA? How did that flesh out? On and on I could go about these pipe dreams that come about from Summer League that have no connection to what actually occurs when the games matter in the fall and winter and into the spring. That is where the focus for Cedric Coward is. And if he's not healthy to scrimmage, what are we talking about? And if the Memphis Grizzlies want him to prioritize rehabilitation or having an extended period of time to look at what he is physically capable of doing heading into the longer offseason, friendly reminder, the NBA season just ended a month ago. Cedric Coward was not on the Memphis Grizzlies a month ago. They now have access to medical records, to direct diagnoses. They have the capacity to have their trainers look and work with him. That matters a heck of a lot more than whether or not he's sitting on a bench in Las Vegas. Who cares? Zach Edey's in a boot. Zach Edey had surgery. They know what's wrong with Zach Edey. That procedure's already occurred. He's in their system. Go hang out on the bench. Cool beard, Zach. The fact that Cedric Coward just got to Vegas is, I could care less. It is irrelevant. Yes, it's good that he's able to be around his teammates. And yes, I would love for him to start getting into the scheme. It is July 15th. The NBA offseason has not even technically officially begun. Just wait, dear listener, dear viewer. I hope you're still around in early August for when the true dog days of this offseason hit. I'm sure you will be because you're an everydayer. You're committed to Locked On Grizzlies. I love you for it. Cedric Coward's going to be just fine. He's not playing in Summer League. I'm glad he's there for the close of it over the next couple of days, including the game tonight. He's not going to play. His health matters more than anything. And the Grizzlies now have the full capacity to see what's going on and to put him on a path to work on his game and have him ready for training camp. That matters more than whether or not he's playing against the Warriors or the Trailblazers or the Summer Celtics. None of that matters compared to what is ahead for this team and for this player. Let me know in the comments. Hit me up on X. I could care less that Cedric Coward just got to Vegas. I understand that he's a competitor and he wants to be with his teammates. That's not, you have to have the 40,000 foot view here. Let me know if you agree or disagree on social media or in the comments. When we come back here on Locked On Grizzlies, Memphis makes an interesting move in their lead assistant hire. What does it mean for the Grizzlies moving forward? Stick around here on Locked On Grizzlies. Today's episode of Locked On Grizzlies is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing. The Midsummer Classic, of course, the All-Star Game for Major League Baseball coming up tonight. Whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action anyway. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach, the big losers. I love using FanDuel to track favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh with daily promotions and lots of fun ways to bet. They have really fast payouts. It's extremely easy to use, and it makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Check out FanDuel today. Another piece by DeMichael Cole. We love DeMichael Cole here at Locked On Grizzlies. And why wouldn't we? He is the co-host of this program, after all, my wonderful partner. He was busy on Monday. The Grizzlies, aside from announcing other things that we'll talk more about later on in the show, the Grizzlies are hiring Ryan Saunders as the new lead assistant coach. Sources have confirmed to DeMichael over the commercial appeal. Saunders, of course, is the son of former NBA coach Flip Saunders, spent time with 3 NBA teams as an assistant. He was the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves for 3 seasons from 2018 to 2021. He most recently worked, and this is from DeMichael's piece, over at the CA as an assistant coach with the Denver Nuggets. Saunders spent the last 3 seasons in Denver, helping the Nuggets win a championship during the 2022-2023 season. Memphis has revamped the staff. All right. In comes Saunders. Out goes Anthony Carter, a very popular coach with some of the players, directly praised by players like Gigi Jackson. He had the really strong rookie season. His shot was so improved. They talked so much about a shooting stroke and how that was a major piece to Gigi's run there towards the end of his rookie campaign that got him on the all-rookie team as a second-teamer. Anthony Carter got a little credit for that, but he is no longer on the staff. Isolo has Brian Penny Collins. He was the head coach at Tennessee State. He's there with Memphis in Summer League. And we talked about Saunders coming into the fold. Head coaching experience being prioritized over NBA playing experience. That is something that in my conversation with DeMichael, shoot him a text. Hey, how's Vegas? Do you still have that $10? You're walking by the blackjack table and you're being disciplined. I'm proud of you, my friend. After checking in on him and just talking about the state of the team, that was something that was pointed out to me by him. And I do think that is something that's worth mentioning because it is the Grizzlies going back toward that direction. Now, I will say, while it is notable that the lack of active NBA players in the coaching staff could be impactful for how the players view the coaches, how they respond to the type of coaching style they may possess. When somebody is a peer of yours or was a peer, like a Jared Dudley, right? Jared Dudley was rumored to be in the conversation for this lead assistant role. He didn't wind up in Memphis, obviously. But there's a saying in coaching that you can't hire Lombardi if he doesn't apply, right? To bring in somebody, you need to tango. You need somebody to bring in. And to twist it a little bit here, assuming that Jared Dudley was seriously considered, maybe Dudley passed and Flip Saunders is the next best option for Memphis. We aren't privy to those conversations. It's very possible that Memphis thought Saunders was better than Dudley. But Jared Dudley obviously had an NBA career, has been a coach for a while, and was a part of these conversations in Memphis. So it's not like the Grizzlies completely are throwing away the NBA player piece. And I would argue even though obviously Saunders did not play in the NBA, the fact that Ryan Saunders is a former head coach at the National Basketball Association level, and the fact that Ryan Saunders, because of the relationship with his father, Flip, grew up in the NBA circles. No, he's not an actual player, but there's few people that aren't actual players that are 39 years old that are as familiar with the NBA life and what it takes to be a competitive player at that level. Fewer do it fewer have that level of experience that Ryan Saunders has at such a young age. So I think that with Tuomas Isalo, obviously no head coaching experience in the NBA, aside from landing the burning on fire plane that was the 2024-2025 Memphis Grizzlies, at least the second half of the season. Aside from that experience, you want guys that have organized practices before, that have organized and tackled travel. What does it mean when a team has 3 games in 4 nights? How did you manage those minutes? How did you handle that particular personality of an Anthony Edwards, a Karl Anthony Towns? How did you interact with the superstar? How did you implement this scheme? I was really interested in how you attacked that defensive set, how you had that screen set on that area of the court as opposed to the top of the key. Why did you do it that way? Whenever you're able to pick somebody else's brain that has been there before you, and you can take that experience and build it upon what your vision for your franchise, your organization is, that's valuable. That's valuable. And Ryan Saunders has that. He has the pedigree. He has the level of coaching experience, and he's done exactly what Isalo hopes to do. He's been successful in the NBA. Now, obviously, could have been more successful. Obviously, he probably wishes he was still the head basketball coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. But his journey has taken him other places. He's been an assistant at Denver. And an interesting dynamic there is he was a part of that championship winning team. How did you utilize Kentavious Caldwell-Pope on that roster? What did you guys do to maximize KCP? You don't make a coaching hire to maximize a veteran wing that you hope is a starter in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have somebody that has seen the peaks of a very important role player, somebody that we haven't talked about a ton here on Locked On Grizzlies. So if KCP is going to have success, that's a major component to this Memphis Grizzlies roster as constructed, being a top 6 team in the Western Conference. Yeah, it starts with John Morant, like we talked about yesterday. But if Kentavious Caldwell-Pope plays the way he did in Denver, that is going to help a ton. If Kentavious Caldwell-Pope plays the way that he did in Orlando, not so much. You're hoping for the Denver KCP, and Saunders has seen that KCP. Saunders has been where Isalo hopes to be, and he wants to build upon this work that Saunders did. So, yes, Jared Dudley would have been cool. Would have loved that hire. I like Jared Dudley as a player. I'm sure he's got a lot of experience that he could have imparted on the Grizzlies. And yes, there is absolutely something to be said for somebody like an Anthony Carter or some other former NBA player that has shared a locker room or been in the seat that guys like Jaren and Ja, Ty Jerome, who we're about to discuss, being in that space and understanding what it's like. There's just a different level of listening. There just is. That is life experience. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a capacity to build a bridge across that space that might exist in terms of NBA player experience. Oh, and friendly reminder, Tayshaun Prince is a very highly regarded member of this Memphis Grizzlies front office. Tayshaun Prince, one of the better NBA players of this quarter century. So Tayshaun is very active and often serves as a liaison between the front office and the Grizzlies players. Not saying he does that for the coaching staff as well, but it's not like Memphis is completely throwing away the importance of the former player connection. So Anthony Carter did good things for Memphis. How G.G. Jackson responds to this new coaching staff, knowing that AC was such a vital piece of that rookie campaign in particular, that's going to bear watching as the offseason becomes preseason over the next few months. But Saunders has valuable coaching experience and is going to be able to get Isalo organized and put into spots where he can be a sounding board. This will work. This didn't work for me, but it could for us. Learning and growing together, hopefully for Saunders, to his next head coaching job, while helping Memphis get their ship righted at the same time. Let me know in the comments. Hit me up on X. I'm fine with Ryan Saunders. I think it's a good hire. I appreciate those that love AC. Who else would you like to see on the coaching staff? If you say Tony Allen, I'm going to need you to tell me exactly how TA is going to assist defensively. It's hard to, if you could take Tony Allen's dog in terms of his mentality and his heart and put it into the players, if he had that coaching ability, I'm with you. But it has to be a little bit more than him just showing up to practices. But it is an intriguing idea. I already killed the lead a little bit. Sorry to those of you that are going to shout out TA as a possible coach on the staff. When we come back here on Locked On Grizzlies, we're going to close out this episode. Ty Jerome officially signed by Memphis. What does it mean for the Grizzlies? Stick around here on Locked On Grizzlies. Today's episode of Locked On Grizzlies is brought to you by the very good folks over at Hungryroot. I'm busy this time of year. I don't know about you. Meal planning, grocery shopping, it can be overwhelming. I have an extremely busy schedule as my football season gets ready to start. I have 3 picky eaters and my children. I'm trying to eat healthy along with my wife. A lot's going on. So we love Hungryroot. They take the stress out of planning by filling our cart for us with personalized groceries and meal options based on what we like and need. They use their smart cart technology at Hungryroot to recommend groceries, recipes, and even supplements that are tailored to our preferences. Whether you're dairy-free, gluten-free, focused on gut health, or trying to eat better, Hungryroot has you covered. Again, we can't waste time at the grocery store. We have kids going to camps. We have to get kids to certain parts of the city. We have practices. We have workouts. There's so much going on a day-to-day existence for our family that Hungryroot has everything figured out for us when it comes to groceries and what's for dinner. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Shout out to Hungryroot. Go check them out today. So Ty Jerome has officially signed with the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a multi-year contract. Per usual, as the Grizzlies like to say in their press release, the terms of the contract were not disclosed, but we know it's a multi-year deal. We know it's roughly, for the room exception, about $8 million on average a year. And that's fascinating, right? So much of our offseason predictions in terms of free agency targets, what they could potentially do in a trade, so much of that was directly correlated to and connected to the idea that Ty Jerome's market was going to be so low or so hot that Memphis wasn't going to be able to afford him. But when it became clear that the market for Jerome was not quite as steamy as expected, and Memphis was able to slide in there and pick up a player the quality of Ty Jerome for the room exception, again, about $8 million or so a year, that's a bargain for Ty Jerome. And let me make something very clear. Yes, Ty Jerome struggled in the postseason. Yes, that undoubtedly impacted the money that he made in the open market in free agency. But you know what else impacted his value? The fact that nobody other than Brooklyn Nets had actual cap space. So you're talking about all the various mid-level exceptions and biannual exceptions and room exceptions. There were only certain spots where money could be made. Welcome to the world of this new CBA, collective bargaining agreement. It inhibits free agency in a lot of ways. So these players have limited options. And Ty Jerome surely looked around the NBA landscape. He had offers other places. And he thought to himself, where can I maximize, get the most bang for my buck? Look no further than the Memphis Grizzlies, who made the choice to move on from Desmond Bane. And we've talked about it here. I'm a big Moneyball guy. Shout out to the film Moneyball, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill. You cannot replace a Desmond Bane. But what you're going to have to try to do is replicate him in the aggregate. Almost a direct quote from that great movie. How do you do that? You have to find somebody that is capable of making shots. You have to find somebody that is capable of shooting the three at a pretty high clip. Ty Jerome checks both of those boxes. Now, maybe you're concerned after that playoff run against the Indiana Pacers. Friendly reminder, Darius Garland was injured. Friendly reminder, the Cavs were not at full strength. And Ty Jerome was asked to do more than he should be asked to do at this stage of the game. in his career and in the NBA at large. You are bringing Ty Jerome into a Memphis Grizzlies environment where he is not, assuming health, going to be asked to do the things that he had to do for the Cleveland Cavaliers in that series against the Indiana Pacers. As I've said time and time again, and it will remain true as long as he's a member of the roster, which hopefully will be for a long time. If Joe Morant is not available and playing on a consistent basis for the Memphis Grizzlies, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. So you can't look at Ty Jerome as somebody that comes in like a Tyus Jones a couple of years ago and say, all right, Ty, you're the Ja replacement. You can't replace Ja Morant. Tyus Jones couldn't replace Ja Morant. He was a completely different point guard. That's one of the reasons why I called him the best substitute teacher in the NBA. He was not a good reserve point guard. He was a good guy to fill in when Ja was out. And again, if Ja's out, none of this matters because the Grizzlies aren't winning a championship without that superstar caliber contributor. So it's unfair to put that level of expectation on Ty Jerome. If you couldn't put it on Desmond Bane, why in the hell would you put it on Ty Jerome? And in terms of these questions about who's going to be the starter, I'll talk more with DeMichael about it as the offseason grinds forth. But to me, it's easy. It's Jalen Wells and it's KCP next to Jaren and Ja and Zach Edey eventually once everybody's healthy. Those are your starters. That's the starting five. Ty Jerome's not a starter. Ty Jerome's not even your sixth man. We talked about this when the deal was agreed upon. Look at the money that Santi Aldama is making. Santi Aldama is your sixth man. That's the guy that needs to play 25 or so minutes a night, put up 12 to 14 points in those 20 to 25 minutes. Ty Jerome's your seventh or eighth best dude. Can Ty Jerome be a combo guard at your seventh or eighth best dude? Yeah. Can Ty Jerome shoot 40-some% from three and be a floor spacer that has the capacity to play next to Ja and Jalen and Scottie Pippen Jr.? Absolutely. Ty Jerome can play the point for you for a stretch if you need him to. Ty Jerome can also play the two next to Scottie Pippen Jr. The malleability of his game and the range that he has to play all sorts of different positions, that should be where your focus is. Look at Gigi Jackson as another example. If you want to be positive about Gigi, DeMichael and I talk about him playing the four, and that's his final form. But Gigi Jackson can absolutely play the three. And nobody has told me why he can't play the five in certain matchups. Gigi Jackson is more valuable today than he was several weeks ago to the Grizzlies because of the coaching change and because of the malleability of his skill set. The same is true of Ty Jerome. He is a versatile guard that can do a variety of things. Is he a defensive liability at times? Absolutely. Is he somebody that may not be able to close games because of that? You betcha. But you know what he can do? He can go shot for shot with KCP, defensive substitution, offensive substitution. You know what he can do? He can make big shots. You know what he can do? He can find his own look, and he can find other open shooters in the corner off of that dribble penetration. He is a microwave scorer that can help this team when the offense gets stagnant. And in a pinch, he can fill in as a spot starter. For the room exception, that's a heck of a signing. And I think that he makes the Memphis Grizzlies better, and I'm excited that Ty Jerome is a member of the franchise, officially now. So welcome to Memphis, Ty Jerome. You can no longer hide in the shadows. You can be a proud member of the Memphis Grizzlies. Good to see you hold up a UVA national championship. Hopefully there's a parade on Beale with your name on it here over your stay as a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. Thanks for being with me on this edition of the podcast. DeMichael Cole should be back with us tomorrow. Obviously, we didn't really talk much Summer League basketball today. We'll get you caught up on all the goings-on out in Vegas, taking a look at the end of Memphis's time out there in Sin City and the end of NBA Summer League. To be honest with you, it's too long, right? I'm good with it almost being over. Moving along from that, focusing in on the roster, we'll talk about Santi Aldama having a very busy last week or so, mentioning him, his deal getting finalized here soon and all that sort of stuff. Lots of different ways we can take our Wednesday edition of Locked On Grizzlies. Make sure you're liking, commenting, rating, reviewing, subscribing on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts. Be an everydayer and make sure you're checking out not just us. Thank you for being with us as your first listen today, but now for your second listen, find the Locked On NBA podcast where there is no offseason. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything that you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. thanks for being with us here today on Locked On Grizzlies. Hopefully, you'll be back with us tomorrow. Be an everydayer. If you're not already one, hang out with DeMichael and I each and every time an episode drops. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We'll catch you next time here on Locked On Grizzlies. See you.